How's it going, Commissioner? This is Bootleg Crab Leg reporting to you live from Orlando, Florida. I just want to congratulate Bobby J on his victory over me. We will play later on in the year. I'm looking forward to that victory. But let's get back to business. Mr. Rusty Strombone called out me and Bobby J about our shit talking. And he's going to eat his words this week because I defeated him today. And he even scored over 100 points. My team's been struggling. And his team just shit the bed this week. So, Mr. Felicetti, the next time you want to sit there and talk shit, make sure you can back it up with the fucking points, all right? This is Bootleg Crab Leg, checking out, reported to you live from Orlando, Florida, and I'll see you guys soon.
Week 7 in the Always Sunny in Sayreville League. Whew, is it hot in here? We have reached the halfway point of the season. So much of 4-3 and 3-4. So, nobody's really out of it at this point yet. Right, Tom? Injuries this week. Tevin Coleman sustained an injury, out for week 8. Lamar Miller sustained an injury, status unknown. Matt Jones sustained an injury in addition to his fumbleitis. Okay, so I think it's time that we all just are honest with ourselves and admit that Russell Wilson is injured. He's playing, but he's injured. There's no question. Jerick McKinnon suffered an ankle injury, may not be available for week 8, to be determined. LaShawn McCoy, who shouldn't even have been out there, but we'll get to that in a minute, he aggravated his injury. He's going to be out for week 8 and possibly beyond. And as of the recording of this special, which is Thursday, CJ Anderson, not sure what the situation is with that guy. Supposedly meniscus tear, going through surgery like right now as we speak. Could be a couple of weeks, could be the rest of the season. I'm going to go ahead and call it right now. Time of death, week 7, CJ Anderson. Rest in peace, my man. If we see you again, I will be surprised. All right, in week 7, we had 4 games that were pretty close, pretty competitive, and 2 games that were complete blowouts. But we may as well start with the Bootleg Crab Leg, who we heard from just a few minutes ago, who won their game against the Rusty Strombone 105 to 96.8. This 8.2 point margin was the second closest game of the week. The Bootleg Crab Leg was led by 30 points from the Eagles defense. Always nice to get 30 points out of your defense. On the other side, as you heard before, the Rusty Strombone failed to score 100 points, as no player on his team exceeded 18.9 points, and he suffered 2 key injuries in the game. The win secures a 5-2 record for the Bootleg Crab Leg and the lead in the Porter division. On the other side, the Rusty Strombone falls to 4-3, and they are now in a tie for second place in the number 2's division. The next closest game, with a margin of victory of just 8.4 points, was Rutherford B. Hazy's win over the Moth, 142.6 to 134.2. T.Y. Hilton's 26.3 points led 3 and 4 Rutherford B. Hazy right into the thick of the playoff hunt, and the Moth is bringing up the rear with a record of 2 and 5. The next closest game, an 8.6 point margin of victory. We had 8.2 points, 8.4 points, and 8.6 points this week, just, for your cranium. Devontae's Inferno defeated Shower Hug by a score of 127.1 to 118.5. Andrew Luck led all scores with 29.8 points for 4-3 Devontae's Inferno, who after a slow start is now the second highest scoring team in the league. Shower Hug fell to 3-4, and they need to start scoring some points. All right, guys, now it's time for this week's hero and this week's goat. But before we do that, it's week 7, so that means it's time for Odd Sundays. So let's kick it out to Seattle for a very angry point of view that's just a tad askew.
Hello, this is Colin McKinnon, owner and operator of Rutherford B. Hazy. I'm not going to be very funny this week because that asshole Sammy Coates, that fucking Yins, had 0 points while I had Anquan Bolden scoring 20 on my bench. The dying corpse of Anquan Bolden on my bench. And then my team, not my team, I don't play for them, the Seattle Seahawks. What was that? In my drunken state, I could have kicked a fucking field goal. That is nonsense. The fucking NFL this year is dog shit. It's dog shit. We shouldn't be watching it. We shouldn't be doing any of this. I am now actively rooting for the Patriots so that Roger Goodell, that piece of shit who doesn't care about wife beaters but does care about what your socks look like, has to give the trophy to Tom Brady. That's all I'm rooting for at this point. Maybe I'll be in a better mood in 2 weeks. Who knows? Thank you as always, Commissioner. I miss you. I love you, Dave Carey. Good night.
Alright, thanks, Colin. We'll see you in 2 weeks. You mad, bro? Alright, guys. Now it's time for this week's hero. The Gotham Rogues defeated the Golden Showers 139.5 to 131.6. This was the closest game of the week. Just 7.9 points separated these teams. The highest scorer in this game was also the highest scoring player in the league this week, Melvin Gordon, who put up 36.1 points. And oh, by the way, Mike Evans pitched in 29.8 as the Gotham Rogues outlasted the most formidable opponent in the league. And for that, the Gotham Rogues are this week's hero. Alright guys, now it's time for this week's GOAT. The Dennis system got his ass completely chewed this week by a score of 169 to 67.6. For those of you scrambling to get your phones to pull out the calculators, 101.1. That's 101.1 point whooping that the Dennis system received this week. Now this is actually only the second worst beating of the season. Tyler Fight Club actually beat somebody else a little bit worse in week 2, but still 101.1 points. Just got completely obliterated this week. He had 5 players in single digits, 1 player with a 0, and 1 player with a negative score. He benched Ty Montgomery, no Ty Monty. Instead, he played Jamal Charles and LaShawn McCoy. He should have sat LaShawn McCoy, but instead chose to play him, okay? He knew he was injured, played him anyway, further injured him. Now he lost him for a couple of weeks, more than likely. You got greedy, man. LaShawn McCoy having a great season, admittedly, but when a guy is injured like that, you can't just play him. You got to give him time to rest. I mean, what do you think this is? A game? This was the lowest score of the week and the lowest score of the year so far. And for that, the Dennis system is this week's GOAT. And for more on this week's GOAT, let's go live right now to Jeff from the Dennis system and Albert from Tyler Fight Club for a little bit more on this week's GOAT.
Yeah, it's Albert Pira here from the Tyler Fight Club with this week's GOAT, Jeff Brelby of the Dennis system. Actually lost by 102 points. Your team played pretty
bad.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Albie, on your new team. Looks real good.
Thanks very much. It could be worse though. You could actually be Bobby J, and then you would just always suck. At least you just had 1 week of sucking, and that's the truth.
Anybody want Arian Foster? He's on the trade block.
All right, thanks, guys. All right, key matchups. We have 3 matchups that we're going to keep our eye on this week. 3 interesting games. The first of which obviously features 5-2, the Golden Showers, the first place team in the league, taking on 3-4 Tyler Fight Club. Now this is the highest scoring team in the league in the Golden Showers, taking on probably the most explosive scoring team in the league, Tyler Fight Club. So, you know, anything could happen. The next key matchup we have to take a look at is 5-2 Bootleg Crableg taking on 3-4 Rutherford B. Hazy. Now this is interesting because it's a game between teams that are separated by 2 games in the standings, but 0.2 points in scoring. So this game is actually a lot closer than the records would indicate. And the third and final key matchup that we're going to take a look at is between this week's GOAT, the 3-4 Dennis system, and 2-5 the Moth, who is the first official member of the Death Pool. Going off at, I think, 3-2 right now. All right, that's it, guys. Week 7 update over. Remember to set your lineups. Remember that the season is half over. Remember that week 10, after week 10, the Wednesday after week 10, I believe, is the trade deadline. So there's only a few weeks left to make trades. Mike Dahl actually brought this to my attention, and he also asked me to mention that pretty much everybody on his team is available for trade, especially AJ Green. So that should definitely get people talking. Mike, you're welcome. And I'll see you guys next week where it's always sunny.